Your next government will be a Liberal minority government. Justin Trudeau will get a second mandate, but his majority from 2015 no longer. This is it. The campaign is over and Canada is right now making its choice.
Who can you trust?
Who can you count on?
Who would like us to go further?
And if the polls are right, a very tight race from the beginning all the way until the very end.
Look at this map. The voters are sending us a message.
I can tell you who lost. It's just both the major parties.
This is a referendum on Justin Trudeau's leadership.
Tonight marks the culmination of 40 days and 40 nights of a relentless campaign. This is Election Night 2019. Polls have just closed in the Maritimes. That means PEI, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. That's 24 more ridings we will start to watch. The Green Party is up to 8.3% across Atlantic Canada, David.
And Rosie, they're on the board. And we're going to show you where. It's in Fredericton. This is a seat where the Liberals are very worried about a split with the Greens, maybe costing them the seat to the Conservatives. They may just lose it to the Greens outright.
What is a realistic look at success for you, and what would be a failure to your party tonight?
Either the Conservatives or the Liberals forming a majority, I think, would be a very large failure for Canada. It basically means you just can't hang on to policy because the next guy that comes in kicks everything out. Of course, it would be good to have a woman come in, but in any case, we really are committed as a party to doing the best we can for Canada. So a good result for us is one where we can play a significant role of influence in a minority parliament.
It's like best case scenario for all the political parties. The Liberals thought they might lose 3 to 4 seats in New Brunswick and West Nova, and it looks like from the map that that's what's happened. Elizabeth May was hoping to win in Fredericton. That's happened. The NDP was hoping to win in St. John's East. That's happened. The Conservatives were targeting 8 seats, 6 so far. It's not so bad.
The Bloc Quebecois, of course, I can already tell you that they're going to have their best night in a decade.
The Bloc is back. It has risen steadily in the polls since the leaders' debates. And in the process, it has taken a wrecking ball to the plans and the strategies of both the Liberals and the Conservatives.
So far, what we're seeing in terms of share of the vote is there is a direct transfer from the Bloc's increases right from the NDP. And indeed, that is what happened in 2011. So to see it go back, that is not boding well for the NDP in Quebec.
The Bloc Party is pretty progressive, and a lot of the values that they have, with one major exception, align with NDP values. So I understand why Quebecers would move back and forth between the NDP and the Bloc.
Early results have Yves-François Blanchet out to a lead. If he wins his seat tonight, Rosie, he would be the first Bloc leader to win a seat in the House of Commons since 2008.
Right now, we can confirm that Yves-François Blanchet has been elected in the riding of Belleuil-Chambly. This is his first foray into federal politics, and he has, it would seem, largely rebuilt the Bloc Quebecois from where it was when it was wiped out in 2011, in large part anyway, by the NDP, where they had no official party status back in 2011. Gilles Duceppe, the leader at the time, also lost. So this is a big return for the Bloc Québécois tonight.
Mes amis, je nous trouve très fringants.
I think we're doing well.
Je nous trouve très vivants.
I think we're full of life.
Et ma foi, je vous regarde et je vous trouve très jeune.
I look at you and I see that you're very young.
Les Québécois et les Canadiens se donnent ce soir un parlement minoritaire.
Have chosen a minority parliament tonight. No party among those who were aspiring to a majority won a majority of seats. No party will control the House of Commons. In Quebec, the Bloc Québécois does not want to form a government or even participate in a government. However, the Bloc Québécois can cooperate with any government. If what is proposed is good for Quebec, you can count on us. If what is being proposed harms Quebec, the Bloc will stand up and block it.
Says that the Bloc will be a party that people can talk to, but there is one condition. He does not want a pipeline to pass through Quebec in any way, shape, or form. Of course, referring to Energy East, which died anyway, which the Liberals have no interest in reviving, so that's probably good news for them. And also said that his job as the Bloc Quebecois was not to make sure that federalism works, but also not to stop it. That too sounds like a sort of conciliatory move. If someone decides that they will have to work with the Bloc, there are ways to do that there.
Would you agree this has been a harder campaign than before?
Absolutely. I did campaign here in Beauce, and I'm very happy with what we did as a leader of the party. But the smear campaign that the Conservative Party of Canada did against us, that was not helpful.
What is a win for you tonight and your party?
I hope that we'll have more than one candidate elected.
We can confirm right now that Maxime Bernier, the leader of the People's Party of Canada, has in fact lost his seat tonight. The Conservatives stealing it away with their candidate Richard Lehoux. He has won by 38.9% of the vote over 28.5. There you can see more than 2,000 votes. The Conservatives taking that away from Maxime Bernier tonight. Pretty devastating for the leader of that party, who, remember, slammed the door on the Conservatives after losing the leadership, said that they were morally bankrupt. He was going to form his party, he was going to have candidates across the country, and he was going to stick it to the Conservatives. Didn't win his own seat tonight, and in fact is only registering 1.6% of the vote for the People's Party of Canada across the entire country.
Today, the people of the Beauce have decided to put their confidence in someone else. I accept with humility, and I want to congratulate the new member.
My heart goes out to our 315 candidates across the country. What we managed to accomplish in only 1 year is spectacular. We will continue to fight for freedom, responsibility, fairness, and respect. It's only the beginning for the People's Party. Merci. Thank you.
On the one hand, Doug Ford's power base is the 905. On the other hand, some of his policies, for example, education cuts, have been very unpopular. So he stayed, Rosie, out of the campaign. The Liberals tried to drag his name into the campaign as much as possible. We'll see how that plays out. But one thing we do know, quite often for the party that wants to form government, the path to power is through the 905.
Yeah. Doug Ford has been more popular than Andrew Scheer throughout this entire election campaign in Ontario. I think it was a mistake, because I think mobilizing Conservative voters, we'll see as the night unfolds, in Ontario is something that Doug Ford was able to do very successfully 18 months ago. And I think we're not seeing signs of that same level of enthusiasm for Andrew Scheer tonight.
We've been talking about vote share in Ontario. Let's take a closer look at that and the caution that Bob made just a short time ago. It is still early, but you can see the Conservatives now are in first place there. I'll leave the analysis to some of you, but it feels to me like the Conservatives would be hoping to have an even bigger vote share than that.
Stuff starts to roll in here. You can see the Liberals starting to pull away with 84 leading and elected, and these are the places where you need to start pulling off those big numbers, Andrew, because that's how you form government. Adam Van Couverden has stolen it away by a big margin from Lisa Raitt.
We've got really big shoes to fill. Lisa's a good MP, and we've had a couple of really good conversations over the last couple of months. I have the utmost respect for Ms. Raitt and her work. I hope that we can sit down for lunch and talk about Milton and talk about what we, a little bit of planning. We've got an important riding here. It's a quickly growing community.
Fastest in the country.
This isn't a game. These are real people. The people that put their names on the ballots, the volunteers that work to get them elected. Lisa, we can see you here, and you've been such a strong voice for women, for Conservative women. I'm really proud of you. I'm proud to be your friend, and you just are the most graceful person, and I love you.
Oh, Megan, you're so sweet. The only reason why I agreed to go on national with you right now is because I knew you were there, and I've been watching you all night. You've been doing a fabulous job. and I appreciate your kind words, and I appreciate your support that you sent me beforehand. But hey, that's what happens. I'm proud of the 11 years that I've been able to be in the House of Commons, and I'm honored that Miltonian sent me.
Regina Wascana is right now blue, and that is Ralph Goodale's riding. So let's talk about this a little bit, Rosemary. As everyone said, or the Conservatives in Saskatchewan said, we all want to beat him. Going for his 10th term, the consummate retail politician, but he is facing some very strong headwinds at this point. He's answering for energy policy and carbon tax, SNC-Lavalin, Western abandonment, just general anti-Trudeau sentiment. And there's been a big third-party campaign against him, really nasty billboards saying, send Trudeau a message, vote Ralph Goodale out.
Any one campaign is only temporary. There will be new challenges to face in the weeks and months and years ahead, and there will be opportunities for all of us. Not just to celebrate our friendship and celebrate victories elsewhere, but to also reassemble.
There is not a whole lot of love for Justin Trudeau in some areas of Alberta, in a lot of areas of Alberta actually, and it's clearly related to energy issues, that feeling of alienation and not being paid attention to.
The Trans Mountain Pipeline, and this is going to be a central issue. It is going to be a make or break issue from the perspective of many Albertans, and so it's going to be, I mean, a very frustrating evening for the blue province of Alberta. And when I was there yesterday, I was talking with Albertans who were coming up to me afterwards and talking about Wexit, you know, which sounds, I mean, it sounds extreme, and it sounds, but in other parts of Canada, they may not understand the depth of the frustration and the economic downturn in Alberta right now.
It's more than just a problem for the Prime Minister. This Wexit thing is not just a joke. The feelings of frustration are, I don't think, perceived by people in this part of the country to the depth that they exist there.
Totally, yeah.
And this situation wherein they will not feel represented in government in much of any capacity is not going to do anything but further the divisions that exist right now. And it's
But
actually
he's going to have to find a solution to that, don't you think?
He will, but I don't know if that exists for the Liberals in Alberta, to be completely honest.
This blue wave, I think, is troubling for many Indigenous people that are looking for deep and meaningful consultation on Trans Mountain. And you know, we can say what we want about free, prior, and informed consent, but the truth is that Indigenous people in Canada, whether it's this pipeline or any other issue, we're economically starved out of the reality in Canada, and we don't have a choice. So yes, there are some that have consented, and there are many that haven't. And if this is the make or break issue for this country, then this country owes it to the Indigenous people on the corridor of this pipeline to slow down, to engage properly, and to do the consultation in a full and meaningful way so that people can make informed decisions, because yelling at each other doesn't work.
Elizabeth May has been elected as MP for Saanich Gulf Islands. This is now her third time being elected there, started in 2011, 2015. So the Green Party leader holding on to her seat, not a surprise, but certainly confirms that she can hang around if she wants. That's a pretty big margin as well. There was no doubt that her seat was going to be held tonight.
For the record books, this is the best election result that any Green Party in any first-past-the-post system has ever had. This is the best result ever, and we enter Parliament as the first caucus in the history of our Parliament that is two-thirds women. Just saying. We're in that Parliament. It's a minority Parliament. We're going to make it by dint of hard work, moral suasion, and non-stop arm-twisting. And I guess the phrase really is holding the feet to the fire. There will be crispy toes.
Some other news now on a leader, Jagmeet Singh. Remember, he only decided to seek a seat inside the House of Commons more than a year after he became leader. He won that in a by-election about 8 months ago, and now here he is. He's won his seat again in Burnaby South in British Columbia.
While people might talk about the divisions in our country, what I've seen is that across this country, we share so much in common. We share so many values. We want to take care of one another. That's what it means to be Canadian. So tomorrow morning, we're going to get down to work. I can't wait to speak to some of our incredible new MPs. Our job is clear. New Democrats have been given a critical role. You've given us a job to go to Ottawa and make sure that Ottawa does not continue to serve the interests of those wealthiest corporations at the very top, but make sure we serve the people, Canadians. While the other parties in the past have chosen to work for those powerful corporations at the top, the richest Canadians, they've chosen those at the top. I will always choose you.
And we can tell you at this hour that Jody Wilson-Raybould has been elected as right now the only independent in the next House of Commons. She has won by more than 1,300 votes. Of course, Jody Wilson-Raybould quit cabinet over the SNC-Lavalin affair and then was ejected from caucus along with Jane Philpott, who lost here tonight. Andrew Scheer has been re-elected in Regina Capel. The Conservative leader this will be his 6th consecutive win in Saskatchewan. First elected there in 2004, an easy win for him. First elected at age 25, has been a politician really for most of his life. So he has that good news now.
The moment that CBC News projected a Liberal government, it was still unclear whether it'd be a majority or minority. It was on the big screen behind me, and as soon as you declared it, Rosie, they changed the channel. But the crowd heard it. The room was completely silent. So this is obviously a disappointing result for Andrew Scheer. And now the next questions are going to be not, well, does the party with the most seats get to govern, which Andrew Scheer had been trying to plant that seed. If the Conservatives had won more seats than the Liberals, they were going to try and plow through and form that government. That question now appears to be completely out the window at this stage. And the question will be for Andrew Scheer is, does he continue on as leader? Will he get to a seat count where his colleagues, his caucus, will be comfortable with him leading the helm into the next election?
They wanted to win, they wanted a majority, but they'll take the minority and wait and see who will hold the balance of power and who they'll have to work with to get legislation passed. So the room is joyful, not hugely celebrating, but obviously very happy that they will return to government, perhaps a little bit more difficult to govern at that point in time. A win is better than a loss, is what they're saying.
The Prime Minister now for the second time, Justin Trudeau, has been re-elected in Papineau, so I may as well give him that win as well tonight, not make him wait any longer. He's been elected there now 4 times. First elected in 2008, of course, he became the Liberal Party leader 6 years ago, and here he's clinched onto his own riding with a lead of 1,200 votes.
Let's give you a snapshot of how the Liberals did across the country, because it really shows you their performance and particularly where they were lacking. So they're down in double digits in every single province in this country except Ontario and Quebec, perhaps where it mattered most. And so if you're wondering how can they be down so much across the country and yet still manage to hold on to 153 seats, well, the key to that, the key to stopping the bleeding, in effect, was their performance in Ontario and Quebec. And conversely, the Conservatives, they needed to do much better than they did in those 2 provinces.
I can tell you who lost. It's just both the major parties. On present form, the pollster's been pretty dead on this. Yeah. Yes. They're both going to finish with less than a third of the vote. That's never happened in our history as a country. Both of them ought to be taking serious lessons from that, particularly the Conservatives. This was a winnable election for them against a weakened Prime Minister. It's fine to talk about the failings of Andrew Scheer as a leader, and I think there should be a discussion of that. But if you look at that platform, that was a failure of vision in that platform. They are still stuck in this base-first strategy where they don't try to expand the base, they don't try to reach out to voters they don't already have, they just try to gin up the people they already have. And if they don't start rethinking that, they're going to keep on repeating this.
Who are you talking about here? The Conservatives?
Talking about the Conservatives.
Yes, yeah, they can't grow their base. It's always about 5.5 million people. Yes.
The problem the Liberals have is the vote on the left is just skittering all over the place, back and forth between them and the NDP and the Greens and the Bloc. The problem the Conservatives have is they have a very solid base, but they cannot grow it, and they don't seem inclined to try.
Yeah, so this should be the last election that any party in this country believes it can win without having a serious plan for climate change.
I would agree with you.
Because if the issue was bigger this year than a decade ago when Stéphane Dion lost, it will be larger in the next election. And if the Conservatives do not take from what happened tonight their failure to thrive, for some voters, they're not even getting a hearing because of that position, then they will have more nights like tonight.
We've grown up, it's either red or blue.
Right.
And we've been disappointed, election after election. And this time we're going to try another color.
I mean, look at this map. The voters are sending us a message. And we've been talking about how nobody really gets enthusiastic about voting for a minority. And we're making little jokes about, you know, how are people going to the polls? And they don't even know and nobody really cares. It's baloney. Look at this map. They voted for Yves-François Blanchet. The people in Kenora voted for Chief Rudy Turtle. The people in Fredericton voted for Jenica Atwin.
It's climate change. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not climate change. They didn't get the cooperation that they expected with proportional representation, and they are forcing cooperation on us. That's what's happening here. They are telling us that we've got to figure it out. They didn't get it through pro-rep, so they're showing us with the ballot box. And I think these are highly, highly motivated voters.
Well, you can think of the election as being 338 individual fights. It doesn't always feel that way, though, because, you know, often you have voters who vote in blocks, you have ridings that vote in blocks, but tonight it just feels like those blocks are smaller than we're accustomed to seeing them. And so you see this kind of regionalization, you see divided country. I mean, the two words that we've said a few times tonight, and I think we're going to be saying those in the days and weeks to come.
Well, and let's look at that map again so that you can get a picture of what that means. I would say yes, divided, but there's a lot of parties on the left, right? A lot of parties that would qualify themselves as progressive. So enough overlap here that they can probably find some common ground. But I agree with what Megan said. That's not going to come easily, and it's going to take some significant outreach from everybody, starting first and foremost with the Prime Minister, who at this point of the night ends the night leading and elected at 156. The Conservatives at 122. The Bloc at 32, up from 10. The NDP down to 24. The Greens with 3, and that sole independent there, Jody Wilson-Raybould in Vancouver Granville.
But tonight, Conservatives have put Justin Trudeau on notice. And Mr. Trudeau, when your government falls, Conservatives will be ready and we will win. Only once in the history of this country has a first-term majority government been defeated. But we've also made some history of our own tonight. Tonight, we have accomplished what only 2 parties have ever done before by holding a first-term majority government to a minority. This is how it starts. This is how it starts. This is the first step. And now we are heading back to Ottawa with a much bigger team, with more support from coast to coast, and with an endorsement from the Canadian people that we are the government in waiting.
Thank you all, my friends. From coast to coast to coast, tonight, Canadians rejected division and negativity. To my fellow Canadians, it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve you for these past 4 years, and tonight you're sending us back to work for you. We take this responsibility seriously, and we will work hard for you, for your families, and for your future. To those who voted for our party, thank you for putting your trust in our team. Thank you for having faith in us to move this country in the right direction. And to those who did not vote for us, know that we will work every single day for you. We will govern for everyone. My friends, this election was about you, about the world your kids will inherit. And tonight, we chose to move Canada forward. Tonight, Canadians have charted a path for the future, and I know we will walk it together. Nous allons avancer ensemble.
We will go forward together to a better future. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Montreal.